Hi everyone. In this video, we're going to learn about selection sort. Suppose we have to sort this array in ascending order. The first step is to find the minimum value in the array. To do this, we start by assuming the first element is the minimum. We then compare the rest of the elements with the first one, which is 8. In the first comparison, we find that 1 is less than 8, so we mark 1 as the new minimum. We continue checking the remaining elements to see if there is a number smaller than 1. Since there isn't, we swap 1 with 8, placing the minimum value in the first position of the array. Now we can say the first element is sorted, while the rest of the elements remain unsorted. Next, we move to the second element, 8, and assume it is the minimum. We compare 8 with the remaining elements, 4, 9, and 3, to find if any of them are smaller than 8. In the first comparison, we find that 4 is smaller than 8, so we mark 4 as the new minimum. When we continue comparing, we find that 3 is smaller than 4, so we now mark 3 as the minimum. After checking all the elements in the unsorted part, we confirm that 3 is the smallest. We then swap 3 with the second element, placing it in the second position of the array. Now, the first two elements are sorted, and the rest of the array is unsorted. In the next step, we assume the first element of the unsorted part, which is 4, is the minimum. We compare the remaining elements with 4 to check if any are smaller, but none of them are. So, we keep 4 in its current position. Now we can say the first 3 elements are sorted, and the last 2 are unsorted. In the final iteration, we mark 9 as the minimum, which is the first element of the unsorted part. We compare it with the last element, 8, and find that 8 is smaller than 9, so we swap them, placing 8 in the fourth position of the array. Now, as you can see, the entire array is sorted. Now, let's move on to the implementation part. We'll be using JavaScript for this. We start with a for loop where I is initialized to 0, referring to the first element of the array. We assume this first element is the minimum, so we store its value in a variable called min and also keep track of its index for when the swap happens later. Next, we have an inner for loop where j starts at I plus 1. This means j is pointing to the element right after the current I position. So initially, j is 1, and we check if the element at j is less than the current min. Since 1 is less than 8, we update min to 1. We then increment j to check the next element. Now j is 2, referring to 4. We check if 4 is less than 1, but it's not, so we move to the next element by incrementing j. Now j is 3, referring to 9, and again it's not less than 1. We continue, and now j is 4, referring to 3. Since 3 is also greater than 1, the min stays as 1. Once we've checked all elements in the inner loop, we perform the swap. We place 1 at the first position, and the element originally in the first position, 8, is moved to the position where 1 was. Next, I increments, so now I refers to 8. We again assume 8 is the minimum and start comparing it with the remaining elements. The inner loop starts again, and now j is pointing to the next element, 4. Since 4 is less than 8, we update min to 4. We continue the inner loop, and j is referring to 9, but it's not less than 4. We increment j again, and now j is referring to 3. Since 3 is less than 4, we update min to 3. At the end of the inner loop, we perform the swap again. We place 3 in the second position, and 8 is moved to where 3 was. This process continues. Now I refers to 4. And we assume it's the minimum. We compare it with the remaining elements. First, j points to 9, which is not less than 4. Next, j points to 8, but it's still not less than 4, so no changes are made. Since no smaller number is found, we don't need to swap, and 4 stays in its position. We increment I again, and now it refers to 9. We compare it with the remaining element, 8. Since 8 is less than 9, we update mine to 8. At the end of the loop, we swap 8 and 9. Now the array is fully sorted and we exit the loop. Thank you for watching and subscribe for more.